you had cancer when you were a little kid.
That's right, Glenn. When I was a little boy, I was 16 months old, and I was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, which is a form of childhood cancer. And the thing about neuroblastoma is it's really difficult to diagnose. And most children that are diagnosed with neuroblastoma are diagnosed in stage 4, which was also the stage that I was diagnosed in. And at stage 4, with neuroblastoma, you're given a 5% chance of survival. So my mum and dad, and my mum's here today, they were told that I had a 5% chance of living, that only 1 in 20 children who are in my position survive. But the really incredible story, Glenn, is how the diagnosis happened. My mum and dad took me everywhere. They took me to specialists, they took me to general practitioners, and no one could identify what was wrong with me. This was 1985, Australia. Anyway, on Christmas Eve of 1985, one night it was really bad and I was really sick. And I didn't stop crying, and my parents just didn't know what to do. So they brought me to the emergency ward, or the casualty ward, of the Children's Hospital in Sydney. And, you know, as you can imagine, Christmas Eve, it's pretty quiet. Most people are at home with their families, about to get ready to celebrate Christmas Day. And there was one overnight doctor there, and he was an American. And, you know, he looked at me and he said, "Mr. and Mrs. Adams, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that your son has neuroblastoma, and I think it's in a really advanced stage, and you need to get him back to the hospital first thing in the morning." And sure enough, Christmas Day comes, my parents bring me to the hospital, and the tests are done, and it's confirmed that that American doctor had it right, that that was my diagnosis. And you know, my mum and dad spent the next 5 or 6 days filming me every day, all day, because they didn't know whether I'd survive. And on New Year's Eve, I began my treatment. And I had chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and an operation. And through God, the master physician, I was able to be healed. But if it wasn't for that American doctor, I wouldn't be alive today. So I don't only write about American exceptionalism, I've lived it, and I know it. And so many people have been touched by America in that way, and it's something that I want Americans to know, I want Americans to understand.
You have watched us from afar now, and you're not popular in your own country. I mean, you know, your views of America don't make you popular. Your views of freedom don't make you popular. There's a lot easier ways of living a life than being out on the point, especially as a foreigner in your own country. What is your life like?
Well, I suspect, Glenn, it's probably much like the life you had in New York, where you're on the street and you know, people abuse you and
So why do you do it?
I do it because it's right. I do it because it's the truth. I do it because it's got to be done. Silence is not golden. It's yellow when it's in the pursuit of freedom and patriotism, and those pursuits are so important that I couldn't care less what popular opinion is. World opinion anyway, really, to me, isn't worth a dime, because you know, the world's thinking on so many matters is confused by morally confused people to begin with. And you know, I think it was George Orwell that said telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And that's all I'm doing. I'm speaking the truth. If people want to take issue with that, if people have their own set of ideas, I mean, I can tell you that anti-Americanism is central to the left. It's an integral part of what they stand for, and it's because America is really the scar on the left's Mona Lisa. America is proof positive that conservative values and conservative principles work. It's just that we've got to make all of America like Texas and not California. And unfortunately, we're going in the wrong direction.
I know, they're working very hard to make Texas like California now.